think I'm talking about my hat and the movie character or the cartoon character. While in 2017, that was one of my top movies, Wonder Woman. I loved it. The movie that I think really opened my eyes was The Battle of the Sexes. And the Wonder Woman I want to talk about today is one of my personal sheroes, and that is Billie Jean King. Billie Jean King. She was born to be a champion, not on the tennis court, but in life, for other men and women. I can't help but be inspired by her courage and her story as she submitted her legacy in humanity. The title of her book, Pressure is a Privilege, adds value to my life. When I think of the words, I have a desire to perform in my job, in the classroom, even here today delivering this speech to the best of my abilities. I tap into that self-induced pressure cooker and the desire to do better and live up to a higher calling. Ms. King was born November 22nd, 1943 in Long Beach, California. Ms. King came from a conservative Methodist family where her parents, Betty and Bill Moffett, would play a huge role in instilling deep-rooted and lasting values in her life. Her father was a Navy veteran and worked as a firefighter. Her mother was a stay-at-home mom. She came from a very athletic family where her younger brother, Randy, he was a major league pitcher for 12 years in the major leagues for the San Francisco Giants, the Houston Astros, and the Toronto Blue Jays. Ms. King's mother excelled at swimming, and her father played basketball. At a very young age, Ms. King discovered what she wanted to be in life, and that was to be the best in tennis. Can you imagine being at such a young age, 11 years old, and wanting to be the best, to be #1 in the world? She told her mother she wanted to be #1, and she did not back down. She achieved this milestone in singles in 1966, and in 1967 in doubles, she became the #1 player in the world. Her record is legendary, having won 129 titles, which includes some of the most prestigious tournaments in the world, namely Wimbledon, the US Open, the French Open, and Australian Open. Ultimately, she was inducted into the Tennis Hall of Fame in 1987, and in 2006, she would find her name etched in history, having her name on the USTA National Tennis Center in Flushing Meadows, New York. What I believe drives Ms. King beyond the tennis court is injustice. One of the first accounts of injustice that I read about in her life she experienced was in the 1970s, early 1970s, when the tennis promoters did not want to pay equal prize money at tournaments for men and women. This was all the fuel Ms. King needed at the time to stand up against the tennis establishment of the day. Leading the way, Ms. King and 8 other brave women broke away and risked their livelihoods for $1. They formed what would become the Women's Tennis Association, the WTA, in September 1970. And since then, you might have heard some of the names who have been a part of that association that we see on the TV. Chris Evert, Steffi Graf, Monica Seles, and I don't think there's anybody who doesn't know the name Serena Williams or Venus Williams. They owe all that credit to those brave women and Ms. King, who led the charge. But perhaps the most life-changing moment for her and women here today, and back then, was depicted last year on the big screen in the movie The Battle of the Sexes. The moment she set foot on the court with Bobby Riggs, September the 22nd, 1973, she felt the weight of the world on her shoulders. Filled with the emotion and the will to win, she knew what she was fighting for. And it was so much more than just a tennis match. There in the Houston Astrodome, she was fighting for equality. She was fighting for equality for men and women. This was a pivotal moment in time and history where Ms. King defeated Bobby Riggs in straight sets, 6-4, 6-3, 6-3. According to a close friend of mine who was present in the Astrodome that day, men in the stadium went from seemingly macho in demeanor to almost cowering in their seats as Ms. King gained victory over Bobby Riggs. She paved the way as a true Wonder Woman for so many females in society to have equal footing amongst men on the court. In business, politics, and most importantly, in life. That continues to be at the top of the list as she serves as an advocate for important issues she believes in. Ms. King serves as a beacon to all men and women to show true courage, to live up to the pressures they face, and to be better people in the human race, lifting ourselves up and pursuing the paths that are open to us. Tennis was a vehicle Ms. King used for equality and a path for success where she has achieved greatness. This was a short time ago in history, and it is this generation, and it is up to this generation and future generations to continue to live up to the heights that she reached for men and women in 1973. In the world especially in the world we find ourselves in today. Setting the stage for equality is paramount. Pressure is a privilege, and champions keep playing until they get it right. Thank you.